everybody. Welcome along to the Monkey Barrel Comedy Chat Show, the wonderful official podcast of Monkey Barrel Comedy, where each week visiting comedians come in and we have a little chat with them. And this week, it's a wonderful guest. It's Jean-Luc Roberts, everybody.
Hello. It's lovely to lovely. Sorry, you looked at the camera. Now it's hard not to. It's lovely to be here.
It's hard. I only have to do it at the start.
Yeah.
And then every now and then when I've got a really good joke.
I like that you have to point out this is the official Monkey Barrel podcast. Like there could be an unofficial one. Someone's doing a sort of bootleg Monkey Barrel podcast.
I mean, I've been told specifically not to say that because, of course, there's also Sam Lake's one, and that is official as well. But I would like to say it doesn't have Monkey Barrel Comedy in the title, Sam.
Okay, I see.
Makes me sick. But you'll be recording that this weekend as well. And if you could just
subtly
if
undermine
it's not subtly undermine it, yeah. But if there's any part of it where you're like, this isn't as good as the one I did with Fox, just maybe do like a little hand signal.
Okay, what's the hand signal?
I'd like you to come up with it. It has to be very obvious. Yeah. If at some point you can do that, oh my God, I would love that.
Okay, I'll try and remember it. What if there's a bit I notice when it's better? Yeah. Better than this podcast.
Then I don't want to know. I do not want to know. Take it to your grave.
If that happens, I'll do this. Okay?
Maybe you start the podcast doing that, and then as it goes along, you're like, oh, yeah, it's really
let's see. We don't know what it's going to be like yet. I'm not going to lie.
We don't know, but thankfully, the viewers here can also check out Sam Lake's podcast. There'll maybe be a link. I know you can do annotations on YouTube. But welcome along to our podcast. Thank you for visiting us here at Monkey Barrel Comedy and the studio today. We usually ask comedians what is their kind of vibe. If you had to give your own elevator pitch to somebody about what your style is or what your vibe is, very casually. We've had lots of things. Most male comedians go, a bit of a silly goose. I don't know how silly those gooses are.
I know I wouldn't use silly goose.
Don't say nice boy.
No, I wouldn't say nice boy.
Good.
No, that's a red flag.
That's a huge red flag. And it took so long for society to go, that's a red flag.
Yeah. I'm absurdist artsy nonsense. That's probably it.
That's perfect. Yeah, that is great. Yeah. And of course, we should point out that you've also done one of the vinyl records with Monkey Barrel Records as well. Look at it. I can't even touch it. If I touch it, producer Claire will scream at me. It's very, very good.
I really like when it's in the back of shots of Monkey Barrel podcasts. It's great.
There was, weirdly, the most amount of messages I've got from the last few months was when Richard Osman recorded a podcast in here and my face was in the background. And I was like,
that's entertainment. Was that
that's
the big
entertainment?
One?
Yeah, the big one. And loads of people were messaging me like, oh my God, you're in the back. And people were like, you could put that on your poster. What a great poster quote that is. Featured as a flat 2D image in the background.
Of a podcast.
Yeah. And something that most people listen to audibly. So you've done so much comedy. Where did you begin in comedy?
Actually, I put a review on at school when I was 12.
Really?
Yeah, it was called One Step Too Far. I wrote it. It was, I'm fairly sure, terrible.
Yeah.
But who knows? But maybe there were some moments
of... follow that impulse.
I did follow the impulse. So that's where I started. I also remember, basically, what I do know is there was a lot of, wrestling with my unresolved bisexuality.
Through sketch comedy. A lot of wrestling. Stone Cold Steve
No wrestling,
Austin,
no, but a lot of weirdly sublimated sexual business, and a song about Tony Blair sung to the. I'm remembering this in real time. Sung to the tune of "I am the very model of a modern Major General," but the lyrics were "I am the very model of a modern Labour minister."
Wow!
And the only thing I really remember, I rhymed with that, and even though my eyebrows make me look just a tad sinister. I am the very model of a modern Labour minister. Yeah.
That's great.
I'm not a political comedian now. Maybe that was what put me off. Yeah.
You maybe were like, I've got it out of my system now.
Yeah.
That was my George Carlin phase.
Yeah,
I've got it out of me now.
It was too hard-hitting. I nearly changed society.
Yeah.
And then I did actually brought a sketch show to the Fringe when I was 16 with some slightly older friends who were 18.
My God.
And I think there was some of that which was okay.
Yeah.
But as you'd imagine,
oh, of course. The jokes you make at 16 are not the jokes you make at 26.
And it was called Nimrod's Fish, Sheep and Hippos. Which is
that.
Yeah, great.
If I saw that, and were you flying it for yourself?
We were flying, of course.
And of course, that's
we gave away bits
welcome.
of bubble wrap to get people to come in And it worked.
Of
Maybe I'll
course.
use that again. Yeah, there was like free bubble wrap, and people were like, oh yeah, we'll come for free bubble wrap. And Kate Copstick gave it a 1-star review, which I still think is unnecessary and mean. And then went to university, carried on then. Did the BBC New Comedy Awards when I was 20.
Wow.
Far too young.
Yeah.
Not yet found what I was doing. Chanced my way to the final.
That's incredible.
And then didn't do, but sometimes I still feel alienated. I was in the final with Sarah Millican and Tom Allen and Ed Axel, and that was and I was way out of my depth, but
but I'm sure they were looking, even if you didn't win that year, I'm sure they were looking at you going, God, I wish I was wish I was younger doing this. That's always going to be the way. People will always want.
Yeah, there's always youth is. I love youth.
Awards are great, but youth, oh my God, hooking into my veins.
I know, but the thing is, once you've got awards, you get to keep them.
Yeah,
youth, no,
fleeting. So what age were you when you wrote that sketch for school? Would you have been
12?
12, yeah.
guess,
I think I remember being a kid, and there was some homework assignment in a book in it, and it said, why not try writing your own comedy sketch or something like that? And nobody else in the class did it, but I was like, oh, that'd be really fun.
Yeah.
So I went home and I wrote a scene for Father Ted, which, as we all know, has no writers. It was just birthed into existence.
Well, I think there was one writer, wasn't there?
We thought there was one writer.
Oh, have we lost that
but
writer
we've
now?
also discovered that writer is also non-existent. But I remember I wrote that, and then they let me perform it with some of the other students the next day in school. And I genuinely, I remember thinking, oh, something's unlocked. Like, this is so much fun. This is so great. And then I remember another student was like, oh, hey, I wrote another scene that could go with that. And I was like, get out of here. Get out of here. You're not out of here. This is my thing that I'm doing. I've discovered this.
Yeah, you don't want
But there's something interesting about that. And then I remember when I was maybe 16 or 17, I did I hosted our school variety show. And just literally never been on a stage in front of anybody. And then it was me in front of 300 students of our entire school. And I was like, when I think back now, what an insane thing to do.
Yeah.
As a 15, 16-year-old, I'll just put myself.
And was it scary, or did you just...
It was terrifying,
Right.
but then I was so scared. And then the second I walked on stage, the adrenaline hit, and it was just, oh my God. I was and that was another point of oh, okay, this is something that I have unlocked. It was kink unlocked, but for a career. But it is interesting how sometimes people will have that. We've had other guests on the podcast who just kind of fell into comedy. We're just oh, I didn't really think about it. And then I was doing this job, and then someone invited me to do this. And then suddenly I just liked it. And I guess people can discover it at any age, but it is a little key that unlocks in your brain. And you're like,
yeah.
This is something.
I actually sort of think of myself less and less as a comedian. This is quite pretentious, and more as an artist. I'm sort of not that interested in the laugh. Or rather, it happens most of the time. And I do enjoy it, and I like it a lot, but I'm more kind of I guess there's a part of me which feels like I trapped myself in a little box early on.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is a way of getting my interesting thoughts to a wider audience who want to see comedy. But actually what I didn't realise is it's keeping people who aren't necessarily interested in comedy out.
Away, yeah. I do think that's a fun thing that we've all discovered a little bit as well, with doing podcasts and doing sketches and doing all these different things. They're all different formats.
Yeah.
And I feel like the people who do the best are where their stand-up is very different from doing a sketch, and their sketches are very different from being on a podcast, which is very different from being on a panel show. And very different from doing a whole hour show. That's kind of, I like seeing that. The thing I hate is when someone's got the same energy across everything.
Right.
Let me see different things.
Right, I see. You want the full person.
Yeah.
The multitudes within.
Give me a little hour shorthand of all your different things. I want to find out.
Oh, nice.
So to stress out our guests, what we usually do at this point in the show is we jump back in time in the internet, social media time machine, and we've got a post from the past.
Oh no!
You're going to have to defend. We're going to take a look at it right
I'm
now.
already my blood is genuinely right.
Here we go. Here it is on the screen. For those who are listening and not watching on YouTube, it's a picture of you with a toilet or a bidet in the background, and in the bidet, it's a bidet or a very low sink?
I think it's a bidet.
I think it's a bidet.
Is it bidet?
Or is it bidet?
I would say bidet, but you might be right with bidet.
But I also say, I'm trying to think of the wrong way to pronounce birthday, and I can't work it out. It's just birthday.
Bidet.
But it's a bidet that's full of blood with I'm hoping a fake severed hand.
Yes, I believe that's a fake severed hand. I was at a Halloween party.
Oh, this suddenly all makes sense.
Yeah, and I saw that and I took a photo. The strange thing is, I think this was before Instagram the idea of posting something on Maine became such a big thing. Like nowadays, this would be straight into stories, right? This isn't staying on the grid.
No.
So, but this is apparently on the grid. It
Yes,
seems.
it is. It's still there. It's from the 29th of October, 2017.
Yeah, so that's 7 years ago.
Which is great. I'd like to say I really appreciate that you did this before Halloween. I always think parties that take place after the 31st are disgusting.
Yeah,
And
don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
It's a nightmare. It's like these people, someone dressed as Dracula, desperately going, guys, I need this. Work's been really stressful.
Can I tell you what? I once went to a production of Christmas Carol, quite a high, I think, a fancy West End production of Christmas Carol in mid-January, because they booked it in for 2 months. And the atmosphere in the room was genuinely funereal. Like nobody was having any of the Christmas cheer or the sort of like glad tidings to all men. Great. Oh, what if one person changes magic? No, everyone was like, it was dead.
You boy in the street, what day is it? It's the day of my parents' funeral. Oh God, shuts the window, closes the curtains.
That's what it felt like. Yeah.
God, that's very. I mean, I kind of like that as well. I mean, if they just did Christmas Carol just in the middle of July, I think I'd be back on board.
I think that would be more of a sort of baller move. Middle of July. January is. Oh
yeah, maybe summer it up a little.
Yeah.
You boy, what day is it? It's the hottest day of the year. Make it like a Hawaiian Christmas carol.
A May Day carol. You boy, do they still have that inflatable ring in the shop around the corner? The one as big as me, sir. The one as big as you. Why, yes, sir, they do, sir. Well, lather on some sun cream. You don't want to get burnt, and go and buy it for me. Oh, yes, I will, sir, I will. And then he goes around and has a pool party with the Cratchits.
Tiny Tim did 7 backflips that summer. Okay, well, I think this is, out of all of the ones that we've watched, I think this is probably it looks the least defensible, but it's probably the most defensible.
Okay, yeah.
It makes sense. Would you keep this up if you if you had the choice? I mean, you do have the choice. You
I do have
take
the
it down,
choice.
but are you proud to have
I'm
this
not
on
like rushing to delete this.
Good. We've had some people who are like, I'm deleting that the second the podcast is over. They don't exist anymore. What is the costume you went for that party?
I've generally done this thing with, I can't remember. Maybe, I mean, I don't look like I'm wearing much of a costume. I would often get excited about a costume, but then realise when I turn up, everyone else's costumes are far more elaborate. Like I went to one as Jack Torrance, which basically, from The Shining. Yeah. And then I was there, and I was just went, I'm just wearing a lumberjack shirt and I've got some flour on my shoulders to look like snow. This isn't enough, So
for a second, I forgot Jack Torrance was from The Shining, and I thought it was Jack. I thought it was Jack Bauer is what I hit in my head.
Jack Bauer?
Jack Bauer from the TV show 24 that happened in real time. So you're just walking around with a real time clock. Oh, real time, guys! You had to spend 24 full hours with me.
Yeah.
But no, Jack Torrance.
Torrance,
yeah, that's it. Did you have a reasonable kind of Jack Nicholson?
No. I think I can do a smile every now and then, but not dependably. There's a few impressions where, like, sometimes, wow, and a lot of the time, not quite. And I can tell as soon as I do it, I feel my heart sink because people haven't registered it.
I mean, it's awful. It's awful when you think. But also, have you ever done like an accent or an impression that you didn't know you had and was good?
Oh, yeah, no, a lot of the time, but only the first time. And then after that, I'm not so good. Once I did Christian Bale's smile, and I got it, and the person...
Like, you're just doing smiles.
No, the smile was... No, because it was uncanny, and I did it, and I could feel it. I knew this was uncanny. I turned to my then girlfriend, and she was like, yeah, that's it. It was amazing. Never again.
I did an impression yesterday. I was out with my girlfriend yesterday, and I did an impression of Goofy that I've never done before.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't expecting to come out so well. Yeah. She's like, she literally stopped me. That was really good. And then I ruined the rest of the day by doing if like Goofy had become a men's rights activist. And it was upset her. So she was like, stop it. Person, Max, wake up. You know his son from Goof Troop?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
What's the men's rights activist material, though?
Oh, it was just him bursting the ring going, get your credit card out, Max. We're going to buy some creatine from Joe Rogan. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I could probably listen to upwards of 2 or 3 minutes of that.
Yeah.
But whole afternoon.
Okay, so thank you very much for showing us your Instagram post. That's always really good.
I didn't choose to.
Well, that's you come in here, that's the choice. You sit in that couch, we're going to show your Instagram post. So we like to talk to people about what their first joke they wrote is. Do you have a memory of that? I mean, I kind of did mine. I told my father Ted, terrible sketch. And yours was probably the...
I do remember the first joke I ever wrote.
There's one
I remember the first laugh I ever got. And then I do remember actually a joke which effectively I wrote.
Yeah.
Neither of them. Well, the first one, there was a dinner table discussion amongst the family, and I think there was some extended family there, so maybe it's Christmas or something.
Yeah.
About organ donation, and I said I wouldn't even donate my fingernails, and something about where I said it in the conversation meant everybody laughed, and it was like, I get. Then I just kept saying it.
Yeah.
Spent the rest of the meal saying it. So that like petered out.
And as a child, you're like, I guess fingernails are really funny.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. And that's also, I'd like to say, not where I stand on organ donation.
I don't know. Boo, boo.
I'll give any organ if it helps Joe Rogan live.
No, don't reference it. That means you have to keep in the goofy stuff. To keep in the terrible goofy stuff.
I can't actually even bear to. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk. I've just gone off. I can't bear to watch Joe Rogan speak or any of those lots. So I actually don't know that world very well because I just wince at it so much when I sort of have to read about it around the edges to try and inform myself.
I mean, it's depressing because I remember when growing up, I felt like being a comedian was kind of cool. You were kind of like on the fringes. You were saying these things, and now it's just like these dead-eyed comics just talking about, basically just conservative talking point. The fact that a comedian opened for Donald Trump is the grimmest thing ever.
Yeah, well, and Donald Trump has the rhythms of a stand-up comedian.
Yeah. He really does. And even when he makes a mistake, he kind of plays it off the way
like he's got
comedian.
quite a lot in common with it. But this is the other thing. Comedian is one of those terms which encompasses so many different types of things.
Yeah.
Like comedy is a thing which encompasses so. Like these people say, no, comedy's about speaking truth to power. It's like, well, that's one of the things it can be used for, but that's not like what it's about. There's so many other types of things in here, and everyone, or not everyone, but a bunch of people want to define it as the type of comedy they like or they've been interested in.
Yeah, like some people would go like, oh, I know, like when you say like, oh, the comedy now, or the popular comedy, especially coming to America, you're like, God, this is so grim. People go, yeah, it should be like, George Carlin or Bill Hicks. And you're like, well, not necessarily. Like, I like anything that is, like you would watch Dimitri Martin when he first came out and be like, God, this is so different and unique and brave and fun and lots like Zach Galifianakis. You're like, oh, this is so different. This is playing with the format. It's so much fun. And then now I feel like sometimes, especially watching the American comics that are on those podcasts, you're like, these could all be the same guy. This could all be interchangeable.
I find an interesting thing. The sort of, because there's something about that uniformity which allows, this will work, live in the room. But then it does leave you, where's the distinctiveness? Where's the thing that makes you special? What makes you stand out? That makes you different from the rest?
I can also hear in the background, producer Claire is typing an email. Dear Theo Vaughn, we will have separated ourselves from George Fox, and we will not be working with them again in the future. They want that money, baby. So that was the first joke you wrote. Was the fingernail one?
I don't think that was a.
But it's the first kind of one that sticks.
That was
in
an
your
ad
head.
lib.
Yeah,
I do then remember on a walk with family members, I came up with a joke which I started acting out. Now this is already you're on a back foot.
Yeah,
it was a little scene I was acting out, which was me going, there's nothing like a lovely cup of tea. Then I'd mime taking a sip of the cup of tea. Then I'd mime spitting it out and go, ugh, and that's nothing like a lovely cup of tea.
That's great.
Well, it would work in a script. I tell you when it didn't work is in the Lake District, running back and forth along a line of people, doing this scene over and over again while they're trying to walk forwards. Like the dog, because that's what our dog would do. He'd run around to try to check everyone was in the pack. I'd run around to try and get a few laughs.
The dog would bark and someone would pet it and it would run to everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone would pet it.
And the dog would go,
I like the idea of a dog go, still has that beat of
well, nobody laughed.
I like the idea that's also when you realise that how a crowd should work. You're like, man, these people in this queue, maybe if I could get them all facing
together
the same way.
I think this about immersive theatre quite a lot. Like we've worked out how to do immersive theatre. You put the action in one place and then you point all the people at that action. Oh, it's theatre.
Yeah. People just slowly reinventing things that already exist.
Oh, wait, no, we had this.
It was like when Elon Musk was trying to like build that underground like line or something like that.
The
railway
thing.
line, the Hyperloop thing,
which was cut. Oh.
Well, it stepped back further and further, where it was like, actually, what we're going to do is we're going to get vehicles that put people on the vehicles, and then it drives through there, and people are just replying like, a bus. You've invented a bus. You've gone through all this trouble to reinvent the bus.
I do find it very comforting to be reminded of all the idiotic things Elon Musk has done. Like, just to be reminded of his lack of competence makes you go, thank God he's not competent. That's really good. That's
really,
one
really
thing
good.
we've got on our side.
Yeah,
And by
yeah.
I mean humanity.
There was a great tweet that I saw where somebody said, like, I'm a programmer, and I didn't know anything about Elon Musk, but people said he was smart, so I assumed he was. He was involved in rocket ships and doing all that, and I said, well, he must be smart if he's doing that. And then today he came to work at my company, and I see what he thinks, and I realize he's a fucking moron. This guy has no concept of how these things work. But nobody says this. So they said that outline, like he has no concept, even just like a child's understanding of how Twitter works. And he's just like, can we not just can we get the Bluebird to deliver the tweets faster?
That's one of the things with Twitter, because I think I had an uncomfortable relationship with Twitter. Was never like, Twitter was fun at the very, very start, and then quickly was like, it was always difficult, like even before Musk came on board. But the people talking about the kind of flight to blue sky as a like echo chamber political thing, it's not. Twitter is not useful. No. It's not usable. You put a link to something you're trying to get people to look at on Twitter, and it suffocates it. So you have like 9,000 followers and 250 people see it. That's not working. So it's not like just. You could probably stay on a Nazi hell site for a while if you were getting some traffic to your website out of it. But as it is, there's nothing going for
There's nothing going on. That is a website where you're like, oh, it's a little bit nicer, but nobody sees it and no one cares.
Yeah.
So it's literally, you are just screaming into an echo chamber now. They've properly made one.
Well, except the people in that echo chamber follow my links.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean their echo chamber?
Their echo chamber.
The one that's been left.
The one that's been left is just them just screaming into the void.
Yeah.
So good. Well, that's good. It's good to know. Has your kind of writing process changed over the years?
From just family meals and family walks and trying to like figure out how to play that particular.
I love the idea that you get the family together every time. Like, guys, I've got an Edinburgh show coming. I need to figure this out.
Actually, my family isn't really my. Like my mum quite likes my comedy, but I don't think they're my main audience.
Yeah. First time I was on TV in Ireland, I rang home and said, "Oh, did you see it?" She went, "Is that it?" And I was like, "It's a half an hour show and I did 7 minutes." I thought you'd be the whole thing. Okay. Oh, well, good.
Yeah, well, it's always nice to put feet down to earth again, isn't it?
Yeah. It really brings you straight back down with a splat.
My writing process now is, I go through phases. If I'm writing comedy, like I go through phases of like writing 1 to 10 in my notebook and making myself write 10 jokes or maybe like insults or opinion, just some format to use to get those down, and then go back over them and discover maybe 2 or 3 of them are funny.
Yeah.
I think I've got lots of different writing processes. What I largely like to do when it's a comedy show is find out what works on stage.
Yeah.
Like for the last few shows, or certainly the last show I made was 2022, and that was based on, I just did it was actually a Twitter thread of, I said 1 like equals 1. I think I said parallel dystopia, but basically it was a parallel world. And then I just wrote over 1,000 different, there's a world just like our own, but you have to, like, the houses are full of Zeppelins, so you have to squeeze past them, or things like that. And then I made a show with the same title, and the process to begin with of putting it together was just going on stage with these things and seeing what in a room kind of got a response, and then building those bits or not. But writing on stage has always been really useful.
Yeah, I like, even there's certain times where you're doing a bit and you're like, this bit doesn't work, but this bit seems to resonate with people. Now, and you wouldn't know yourself to follow it, but you see the reaction it has from people.
That's it.
Go, okay.
Well, sometimes do you find, I find that like I've got 2 bits maybe and trying them out on stage, and actually the linking bit, which wasn't a bit, was just me like, that's what you get the laugh from. And then oh, hang on, what am I missing? Oh, all right, so that's the... Yeah,
and you suddenly do this, like, clear the house of those 2 bits and you focus on that, and suddenly you're like, oh, this is the bit that's resonating with people.
Yeah.
And also you kind of, I feel like you slowly over time realize, okay, here's this joke, and here's how I would have approached this joke with an audience 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and here's now I think how it would work better. Yeah. And it just saves you a lot of time, I feel.
It's true. I did actually, my sort of 9th show, so I've made 10 shows, all of which I remounted this year, which was interesting. But my 9th show I wrote in lockdown, and it was for that record, actually.
This record which is available from Monkey Barrel Comedy Records. Check out our website, everybody.
That was sort of the first time I did something from beginning to end without audience input, just going on what I like, what I found fun, interesting. And so I think it's a very particular thing, that one, because of that. And then when I started performing it to audiences, it breathes in a slightly different way, and bits of the emphases are slightly different, but it works. It works. Like both, but
Which is a sign of how much you've learned over doing
that's
those.
it. You sort of
those eight
hear
shows
that. It's
before.
learning to hear the laugh in your head when the audience isn't there is part of the.
Yeah, and it is always a little bit when you're performing something early days and you go, I didn't think that was going to get anything. Why is okay?
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Interesting. Have you ever done a bit or doing a piece of material and the audience laughs and you're genuinely just like, I don't even know what they're laughing at there. You have to like go back and watch it again.
Yes.
I think everyone's had that where you're just
It's
like,
also you also watch it on stage where comedians hear a laugh they don't understand and then affix it to something that it wasn't
yes.
for, and then there's always that little moment of because it's very important for the audience to think for you to be in the same room as the audience.
Yeah. They want to be on the same wavelength.
Yeah, and they want to understand that you're hearing the things they're hearing and you're sensing the things they're
It's like
sensing.
when something happens in the room and you acknowledge it. You see an audience sometimes go, oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, you're in the room with us. This is live. This is happening. We have some questions from last week's guest for you.
Lovely.
And last week's guest was a wonderful Jordan Brooks, not the awful Jordan Brooks, who's a completely different person that we're never having back. That awful Jordan Brooks, the other one. So they've sent in 3 questions for you that we're going to check out on video. But something we also do is we like to turn comedians against each other by judging them. So you're going to have to tell us how long you think it took Jordan Brooks to send in these questions.
How long?
So we messaged Jordan and said, hey, can you send us in? How long did they take? We've had some people who've done it almost instantly within 20 minutes. And then we've had some people who've done it minutes before we record the podcast a week later. So,
Really quick caveat.
yeah.
I was on annual leave.
You were on annual leave, Claire.
Jordan got the request quite late.
So Jordan got the request quite late. But that's why we run the time from when Claire messages to getting this. So, okay, let's check out this clip.
Hi, John Luke. I'm in the bath right now. You can see my toilet's there.
He's not in the
Just right
bath,
next to
is
the
he?
bath. While the bath was running, I had to have a smelly poo. Well, it didn't have to be smelly, but that's just how it turned out. So I'm not having the nicest of times, really. I guess that leads into my first question: what's the smelliest poo you've ever had? My second question is: what was the first thought you had upon waking up this morning? What's the first thing you thought of? And my third question is, do you think you've already lived your happiest ever day on this earth?
Oof.
Jordan.
And if so, what was it? And if not, what do you think it will be?
Wow.
Hope you're well.
God, there's something like almost trap-like about these questions.
I didn't.
And that little
is-
sign-off at the end.
I'll tell you why, because last week Jordan got 3 questions from the previous guest, which was Daniel Petrie, and the first 2 were very innocent, and the third one was a real gut punch.
Right,
So
okay.
that's what Jordan is recreating.
Well, you know what I'm
I
going to
see
do?
what you've done,
when I
Jordan.
send questions in, I'm going to send in really nice questions.
Thank you.
To show
Reset it.
that we can break these cycles of violence. I can't remember the smelliest poo I've ever had, but I've had them.
Yeah, I remember. God, years ago, I went into a hotel room, and obviously it had been someone had stayed in it the night before, and they were like packed out hotel, and the issue was the bathroom smelled, but it was a really, really incredibly warm bathroom.
Yeah.
There was like a heater in there. So what happened was when you walked in, you were like number one, a hotel room you're going into shouldn't smell from previous occupant. But I walked in and it hit me like a fog bank because the heat hit me at the exact same time.
yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, this is a hot
So
smell.
you had a kind of physical assault at the same time as the
I was like, but it almost knocked me off my feet.
sensual.
I felt-
What's the word for like? Or aromal, aromic.
No, auditory is ears.
Aromatic doesn't sound right.
No, aromatic sounds too nice. Sounds like a real Yankee candle.
Yeah, aromatic. Is aromatic got to be nice?
I know
Anyway.
there's a lot of different brands of Yankee Candle, but there's no Yankee Candle that's like hot fog bank of shit. That doesn't exist.
Do you remember that? Oh, sorry. You remember that little graph that about after COVID, where the amount of complaints about Yankee Candles not not having a scent
Really?
spiked in COVID because people didn't realise that they'd lost their sense of smell.
That's great.
Yeah, it
oh
was
my
fun.
God.
Oh, it's also that's the best review I've ever left on a. I had a ramen with my then partner. We ordered some ramen, takeaway ramen, and it was so tasteless. And we put this in the review, like we said, like this broth was so tasteless. We had to go around the flat tasting things we had in the flat just to check we didn't have COVID.
That's great. Lick a battery. Go, okay, no, we're okay. We're fine.
I'm not sure that COVID stopped the battery. But
You know what? You're right. sometimes these jokes are too silly. I'm sorry, folks.
what's the next question?
The second question was, what was the first thought you had upon waking up this morning?
I think it was quite mundane.
My thoughts the same one every day. No.
Yeah, there's often that I have to at the moment, like if I wake up and then reach for my phone and look at the news, I've screwed my whole day.
Oh, of course.
But I really have to train myself. I think my real thought this morning was, it's never 8:10. That is too dark.
Yeah.
To be 8:10. That was what I thought. That was my first
So
thought.
dark.
Yeah.
God, the winter is grim when it's just incredibly dark. That
I just couldn't. But I kept on like looking because I'm in Edinburgh. I'm staying at a friend's parents' house.
Who could this be?
Who could it be?
Please refer to producer Claire.
Claire, I'm staying at
as a co-worker.
Producer Claire's parents' house in her old childhood bedroom.
Childhood bedroom.
Yeah.
Has anything interesting happened in that bedroom? Can you tell us? Is there anything we found out about before the podcast that happened in that bedroom?
Just before she waved me off, she said to me, "Oh, I shouldn't tell you that." And then she said, "No." And then closed the door and went away. So that was that. Oh, actually,
So you were in the bed and you were going to sleep.
Yeah.
And then the door's closing. She's dressed like Ebenezer Scrooge.
I was
Dressed like Ebenezer Scrooge. And then, just so you know, before you go to sleep.
Yeah, she blew out the candle.
Yeah.
Never heard the door close.
Never heard the door close. But you would hear the floorboards creak in the night.
Actually,
Claire?
One of my funniest, genuine real life stories is about Claire.
Oh, really?
Can I tell it?
Oh, 100%.
Can I tell this? Because it's
Yes.
also what's would the right phrase be? Sex adjacent?
Oh,
Yeah.
hey.
But it's not what you think.
Can we put porny music in the background? From the start. It'll only make sense now.
So Claire was working for my producers one Edinburgh, and a few years ago, not many actually, 2 or 3.
21.
Claire was 21.
21, okay.
I was mid-30s. This is only, and we were going to go and see a show together in a professional, friendly manner. And the show we decided, I thought, it would be good to go and see Mr. Chonkers.
Yes.
Mr. Chonkers, who is obviously a friend of the Monkey Barrel. And so I messaged, do you want to see Mr. Chonkers? And I sent, and as I sent, I saw that it had been auto-corrected to, do you want to see me Chonkers? And so I thought, Claire received a message saying, do you want to see me Chonkers? And as I saw it, and my whole career flashed before my eyes, I thought, oh no, this is it. I'm done.
Is this an elaborate apology tour? What is this?
But then the funny thing is, Claire responded, yeah.
That's not surprising.
I didn't know what it meant. So I just was like,
You are a very positive person, so you would just say, yeah, sure.
the act's happy.
No, and that's the first mistake. That's your first mistake.
That is the first mistake. Yeah, big time. Okay, wow. Do you want to see me Chonkers?
Do you want to see me Chonkers?
It's so charming.
Charming, is that right?
Yeah.
It's certainly it's got a, it's got...
If there was a scandal about you and that text was leaked, I think people will go, oh, oh you.
That was funny.
Okay, and then
And so that's why I'm standing up for Greg. You know, Greg Wallace. I know how these things happen. He just made,
all of these complaints about me are from middle-aged women of a certain age.
I just said, did they want to see me Chonkers? I asked, for goodness sake.
I said, do you want to see me goofy? Gosh.
I guess you have to make some decisions about whether to cut that out or not.
Yeah, I'll have to figure that out.
And what was number 3? What's the happiest day?
Question number 3 is, do you think you've already had your happiest ever day on this earth? If so, what was it? And if not, what do you think it will be?
Sorry, I coughed. I also, there's this really... No, that's
Sorry.
really like I
Producer
also.
Claire's gone rogue.
This is a side note. Like I cough like my dad. So when I cough, I basically trigger myself. So I cough and have an emotional flashback, because he used to cough just before he stood up and moved rooms. And so that was my warning of like, oh, he might be coming here.
That is a very dad thing, isn't it? To go and then you hear the chair creak.
Yeah. I'm a very private person. I don't want to talk about my father in public.
Are we editing that out? Is that?
No, I've done like 5 shows about him.
Of course.
What was I saying? Oh, Happiest Day. I think right. It's hard to know. I think even my happiest days have sad bits in them, and vice versa.
Yeah.
There's no day which is entirely happy. I was very, very happy. There's a photo of me feeding monkeys in Kyoto, which I genuinely was absolutely over the moon doing this, like delighted.
Was this one of the
grinning,
I know there's parks around Kyoto that have like different. There's like a deer park and there's like there's a fox park. And
it was a monkey, like a hill or a mountain. I mean, a hill. I think maybe it was called Monkey Mountain, or maybe that's just what we nicknamed it. But you would go into this little hut, and they'd come to the windows of the hut, so they knew not to try and get food off you when you were outside.
Oh, that's pretty.
And then
good.
they'd come. It was great. It was really wonderful.
So it was just like little hands coming
through, and then like a little monkey came along, tried to get some food. A big monkey came along, whacked him out, and then I stared at the big monkey, and then followed the little monkey to give him food. Looked back at the big monkey, whose mouth was like wide open, like.
I love the idea that you've gone to the cute monkey equivalent of a Gloria hole. Everything about you is like, it seems sinister, but John makes it cute. I don't know what to say. It's very nice.
It was great. I didn't put that through the bars.
No.
It was not. I'd like to say it was
made
just
a very
misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Middle-aged women of a certain age said that I'd. It was just banter with the monkeys. I was just bantering with the middle-aged monkeys of a certain age.
Yeah. It's just food hole banter.
Oh God!
Is that so? You would hold it on this side, and then their hands would come through?
Yeah, their hands come through. Their little hands come through the bars, and they take it. So I was very happy then. But right, I most of my 20s I spent having probably like 6 months of quite severe depression every year, and started therapy in my early 30s, and that's now a world away. And there's still work to go, but it's sort of trending better. So basically, my general happiness has trended up, and I imagine my happiest day lies ahead of me.
Yeah. But also I think as you go through life and you start to make things more secure and safe, and you feel like this is my space, this is this, I think that becomes easier. I think a lot of stress in your life is like, is everything going to go? Is everything going to collapse? And the longer you're around, you start going like, well, here's how things have gone wrong and how I've dealt with them.
Yeah.
You get
this is true, of course, on a personal level. You learn who you are and how you can express yourself and how you can be and how you can what you need to be happy in the world and stuff. Now, I do say that as I've got older, also I've become more acutely aware of the world probably collapsing. So those are pulling in different directions, I suppose.
The second remember the ocean was on fire for like a week, and I was like, okay, all right.
I didn't know what it did that.
That's a very interesting choice by the ocean to do that. Okay, normally this is where we're close to the end of the show, but we would ask you with Jordan's questions, how long do you think it took Jordan to send those
Gordon's alive! How long do I think it took
How long
him to
do you
send
think it took Jordan? God, I'm drunk, everybody.
Okay.
How long do you think it took Jordan to send in those
So
questions?
because the film was in a bath. That's also, to be fair, the type of thing Jordan would do. But that does point to a last-minute rush, potentially.
It seems like Jordan was in the bath.
When he was sort of prodded to, hey, we need these, please. 6 days.
6 days, okay.
So I asked him yesterday at 9:30 a.m.
Oh, okay.
You asked him
I feel
yesterday
this is
at
a
9
production
p.m. That
issue.
was his morning bath.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was my fault. And then he responded 4 hours later.
Okay, well, that's actually
4
very quick.
hours. Okay.
He was very good.
That's
He was
very good, yeah.
That's
And
very
he
good.
replied
I'm sorry, Jordan,
instantly-
that I misjudged you.
He replied instantly saying, of course I'll sort this for you.
Oh, okay. Well, then I feel like a dickhead.
Well, normally this is the end of the podcast, but I have gone rogue and invented a new part of the show.
Oh, wow.
And it's a perfect part of the show because it's going to involve producer Claire. So what we're going to do is we've got a new part of the show where I'm going to give you 3 cards that have different icks. I'm going to have 3 cards in front of me that have different icks. Each card is double-sided, so you have 6 choices each, 12 altogether. And we're going to try and see. You're going to pick one. I'm going to pick one. And then we're going to turn to producer Claire and see which one she finds the most icky. Or If producer Claire does one of these behaviors, you get double points.
Okay.
And so from now, it's going to be me versus the guests to see how this goes. It's a new part of the show that we're calling Big Ick Energy. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very
Wait,
much.
so am I trying to...
So I'm going to give you
determine-
these
right.
3 cards. I'm going to take 3. So I've mixed these all up beforehand, and we're going to take a look at them. You can start looking at them now.
So I can look at
And
all of them?
Yeah, you can look at all of them. They're double-sided. And basically, what we're going to do is you're going to pick one of those, and I'm going to pick one of these, and we're going to see which one gives Claire the ick more. Which one makes Claire go, oh, no, it's giving me the ick. But
I told you on my ex the other day.
you just, oh, well, this is
And I
cheating.
stopped doing it.
I've stopped sending you that text about Mr. Chonkers. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. These are great. Okay. Okay. All right. Oh, my God. Oh, fucking hell. These are good. But I think I've got one. 2 of these are very closely related as well, but I think I've got one. Do you have one that you'd like to go with?
Is the aim of the game to figure out what I find most icky?
Yeah, we're trying to guess your ick. We're trying to guess your ick, but if it's something that you also do as an extra treat,
I think Luke
That
has
wins.
an advantage here.
that's good. That's
Oh,
good.
Claire, I can't remember what you said.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you
Okay.
I'll tell you after we've done this in case it's one of them.
Okay.
Okay, let's find out. So, what do you want to go with? What is your choice?
So it was between 2.
Yeah.
And the one I'm going to go for. Shall I say the one I'm not going to go for?
Tell me the one you're not going to go for. I'd love to hear that.
The one I'm not going to go for is they say buckle up when you get in their car.
It's giving it to me. It's giving it to me.
No, that's it. This is exactly what I thought. I then thought, but I think Claire might like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was why I didn't. That's why I discounted that. They often refer to themselves in the third person.
Oh, I feel like that.
Oh, she
might
likes
be
that as
one.
well.
Does that give you the ick?
Well,
Hold on. We got to do mine.
Well, yeah,
We got to do mine.
do yours.
So mine is the one I was going for was so no, the one I'm going to go for is seeing them sit there smiling as people sing them happy birthday.
Seeing them sit there smiling as people.
They're sitting there smiling and people are singing happy birthday to them.
Well, that's an ick.
That's an ick.
What are they
apparently.
meant to do when people are singing "Happy Birthday"? Like, I'd be much keener on spending time with the person smiling during that rather than one furious, like smashing up the Christmas cake and like thrown over the table. Yeah,
But
I guess
that's
all
one I
sorts.
feel confident. I saw the disgust on your face there, producer Claire. The other one I was maybe going to go for was seeing them pick something up with their feet. I could see that. That's,
I don't know.
thank
I'm
you.
impressed by that.
There's a little bit of that, but I could imagine seeing someone in the street you barely know do it,
Well, yeah, but I'm not on a date with them.
aren't you?
That'd be a funny meet cute, wouldn't it? You know, the kind of spilling the books thing. Oh no, and then helping them pick them up, but the person who's helping them pick them up is just doing it with his feet.
But they both do it. Their feet's meet in the middle, trying to pick up a card. Oh, thank you. Okay, seeing them sit there smiling as people sing them happy birthday, and yours was.
Oh, they often refer to themselves in the third person.
Which
Double
one?
points if I do it.
If you do it, it's double points.
So when I'm stressed, I refer to myself in third
Okay,
person.
yeah.
Or when I'm stressed or drunk, I'll do that.
I
Which
realise
one?
I occasionally do it too.
Yeah, but I don't think.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
do
an
it.
ick for you at all.
You do it, but
No.
you say out loud, "Oh, what's Mr. Chonkers doing today?"
I do actually. A friend did say you've got to stop referring to yourself as old Roberts, and I was like, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that's
I'd
double.
say double to Luke, but then one to you because I guess out of them both, I do think that's the most icky.
That's the most
one I told
icky?
you the other day was about waiting for a green man in traffic.
Waiting for the green man to.
Oh, if
turn,
somebody
yeah.
doesn't wait, if somebody.
Like, just cross the road.
It's really
Now, what
awkward.
about somebody who presses the button? The button's already been pressed, and this circumstance where there is there isn't a green man yet, but there's a child with a parent next to you, and the parent is waiting because the child needs to learn about road safety. Would you, under that circumstance, still want somebody next to that person to cross the road? There's no traffic coming.
Seems like a no. It really seems like a no.
Does no, because I think that's a strong grey area for
Yeah,
me.
but an ick is like for some.
I wasn't talking about the kid.
Well-
whoa.
That's not an ick. Like that's not an ick. That's annoying that there's a child there. But the ick is like.
No, but the person. I'm talking about the person. Your date is like saying, hey, Claire, no, let's wait so this child learns road safety. Is that an ick for you?
Why do they care so much about a child?
Interesting.
I'm impressed with that guy. I'm like, what a nice guy. That's impressive to me. That he's also aware and he's also looking at other people and he's conscious. He's empathetic.
That's what I feel.
That guy's. I'm going home with that guy tonight. I'm on board. You bet. Excuse me. Rude. But also, I should point out that when Claire refers to Irish people as green men, so when she says waiting for green men, she just means me being late to the recording. What abuse I put up with here.
That's pretty awful.
Oh my God. I saw the...
Wow.
I wish we had Greg Wallace here. I would be happy with him as a producer. At least I get a cake sometimes. So, okay, we've had a lot of fun today. We found out lots of stuff. We've been very silly. We found out more about Claire than we ever thought we would know. But if you enjoyed the show, please obviously leave comments. Also, if you have your own ick, please write in the comments down below. We're going to try and collect some icks to challenge producer Claire with. Please, obviously, leave comments, share the videos. Please come along to Monkey Barrel Comedy. Do you have any plugs or anything coming up that you'd like to tell people at home about? Any shows or podcasts or anything else you'd like to mention?
When does it go out?
It'll go out
Wednesday, cool. I have a podcast called Sound Heap, which is a podcast of infinite podcasts, which is made up of me and like dozens and dozens of other comics and other people improvising nonsense podcasts like How to Put Out a Fire, mainly guesses, or other ones. I can't remember them. What are they? Oh, Diary of a Tiny CEO, which is like Diary of a CEO, but it's a 2-inch high man called Tommy Starling. We've got that one. Elty John's Lovely Songs, where Elty John talks about Rocket Man and all those songs he wrote. That's fun. And I'd really strongly recommend people listen to that.
His favourite bit, Benny and the Jets. I'm sure he loves that.
And then next Friday, the 13th of December, I'm doing my Chaucer's Christmas Medieval Festivity in London, having done it in Edinburgh this weekend.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on this week's show.
Thank you for having me.
Very, very fun, silly goose time. Oh no, I said silly goose.
Silly
Oh
goose,
no, we're nice boys. Oh no, boo. Oh no, Greg Wallace is kicking the door in. He's going to join us. We're part of him now. Thank you for checking out the podcast, everybody. There'll be a new episode next Wednesday. Thank you to our wonderful audio technician, Ewan, to producer Claire, and to John Luke Roberts. I've been George Fox. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.
There's something hiding under the ice, imitation of a sound. There's something standing behind the door. Would you like